you hear the name Cecil in Tudor history, you probably think of William, Elizabeth I's right-hand man. But behind him stood a woman every bit as remarkable, his wife Mildred, one of the most learned women of her age. I'm author and historian Claire Ridgway, and let me tell you more about the fascinating Mildred Cecil née Cooke. On this day in Tudor history, the 25th of August 1526, Mildred Cooke, later Lady Burleigh, was born. She came from the influential Cooke family of Gidea Hall in Essex, a household famous for its links with Renaissance humanism and reformist thought. Her father, Sir Anthony Cooke, wasn't just any tutor. He went on to teach King Edward VI himself. But long before that, he gave his daughters, including Mildred, the kind of classical education normally reserved for boys. Mildred flourished. She became an outstanding linguist, fluent in Greek and Latin. And in 1550, Roger Ascham, the same man who tutored both Edward VI and Elizabeth I, praised her as one of the most learned ladies in England, on a level with Lady Jane Grey. Mildred translated a Greek sermon by St. Basil the Great, dedicating it to Anne Stanhope, Duchess of Somerset, and she amassed a personal library so impressive that it rivaled many men's collections. At her death in 1589, she made sure those books went on to universities and schools, cementing her legacy as a woman of learning. 17 of her books survive today at Hatfield House. Mildred married William Cecil in December 1545, becoming his second wife. Together they formed what we might call a Tudor power couple. Their marriage produced 3 children, including Robert Cecil, 1st Earl of Salisbury, who would go on to serve Elizabeth I and James I. But this wasn't just a dynastic union. William clearly adored her. His epitaph for Mildred describes their 43 years of marriage as constant and harmonious, praising her charity, her piety, and her scholarship. Despite her deep Protestant faith, sometimes bordering on Puritan, Mildred also enjoyed fine clothes and the life of a noblewoman. She and her husband purchased rich garments from Anne of Cleves' estate sale in 1557, and she was a keen hawker, often riding out with her daughter. She also managed the Cecil household during her husband's absences, demonstrating her skill in financial and estate affairs. At court, Mildred was respected. She served as a Lady of Honour to Elizabeth I and was even entrusted in 1567 with informing the imprisoned Margaret Douglas, Countess of Lennox, of her son Lord Darnley's murder. No small task. She was also chosen to support her husband in diplomatic discussions, such as the proposed Austrian marriage match in the 1560s, and she regularly took part in the grand New Year's gift-giving ceremonies, once presenting the Queen with an opulent jewel garnished with opals and rubies. Her piety and her passion for learning shone through her generosity. She gave books to Oxford and Westminster School, and in 1581 she presented St. John's, Cambridge, with an exquisite 8-volume Bible bound in gold and embossed with her name. And others honoured her too. Thomas Drant dedicated his 1566 work of Horace's Satires to Lady Burleigh. Mildred's final years were marked by sorrow. In 1588, her eldest daughter Anne, Countess of Oxford, died suddenly of a fever at Greenwich Palace. Mildred herself passed away on the 4th of April 1589 and was laid to rest in Westminster Abbey alongside her daughter. Her funeral was attended by over 300 mourners, a sign of her status and esteem. Her husband William, Lord Burleigh, was left devastated, writing that he was oppressed with the greatest grief. He would die less than a decade later in 1598. Mildred Cecil is often overshadowed by her husband and son, but she deserves to be remembered in her own right. A learned, pious and powerful woman whose scholarship and influence reached well beyond the walls of her home. If you've enjoyed discovering her story, please do give this video a like. It really helps others find these Tudor tales. And please do subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss future videos. And if you'd like to step inside my little Tudor court, or perhaps my large Tudor court, for even more history goodies, including my monthly magazine, The Privy Chronicle, and live Zoom discussions, just click join beneath my video on YouTube or on the Anne Boleyn Files channel homepage. I'll see you very soon. Take care. Bye bye.